The Good Place is a television series played on NBC, with primary focuses on moral philosophy. 6 main characters are featured throughout the television show: Eleanor, Chidi, Tahani, Jason, Michael, and Janet. The show is based in a non-denominational afterlife which represents heaven. The troubling fact is that all 4 of the characters were unethical and did not belong in the good place. Through twists and turns, the truth comes out that the good place is actually the bad place, and Michael has been torturing the characters by focusing on their weaknesses from Earth. The 4 deceased characters were chosen to inflict pain on one another with social engages, not with whips and fire. Eleanor Shellstrop is from Phoenix, Arizona. Her primary job was a sales representative for a questionable pharmaceutical company. She has trust issues and would extricate herself from friends and family. She was known to be a liar, cheater, and a backstabber. Michael is an architect for the bad place and masterminded a bad place to fit 4 people who would slowly torture each other over the course of thousands of years. Janet is used primarily as a personal assistant by the residents of the good place. She is able to instantaneously retrieve and create any requested object. Janet also doubles as an accessible database, as she reportedly has all the knowledge of the universe. Chidi is indecisive and incapable of making quick decisions. He is a kind and extremely intelligent individual. He is passionate about moral philosophy and ethics, constantly quoting famous philosophers and putting many of the scenarios he and others get into under a philosophical microscope. Tahani did many good things, but the anguish of being overlooked by her parents and overshadowed by her younger sister Camellia resulted in a lifelong bitter jealousy. Although her actions were mostly good, her motivations were corrupt, which resulted in her being sent to the bad place. Jason Mendoza was a dim-witted, failed EDM DJ from Florida who earned money by selling fake drugs to college students. Jason does have a good side, and it can be argued that most of his negative qualities are the result of his ignorance rather than malicious intent. Eleanor meets Michael and quickly realizes she was sent to the good place by error. The good place is set up with a point system, and every decision you made on Earth had a negative or positive value depending on how much good or bad you put back in the universe. Your total points at death determine whether you will go to the good place or the bad place. Eleanor was sent to the good place by mistake, and she must try to hide the fact that she should not be there. Chidi helps Eleanor realize that she needs to change her life to become a better person and earn her spot in the good place.
During your time on Earth, every one of your actions had a positive or a negative value, depending on how much good or bad that action put into the universe. Every sandwich you ate, every time you bought a magazine, every single thing you did had an effect that rippled out over time and ultimately created some amount of good or bad.
Chidi starts by teaching Eleanor different philosophical theories, starting with Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. The one that makes sense to most people is utilitarianism. The utility principle is the idea that the morally right action is the one that produces the greatest possible good for the greatest number of people. The utility principle seems to be the theory to follow until you start questioning consequences. Taking the trolley problem, for example, might have you question which philosophical theory you would choose. The trolley problem highlights a fundamental tension between 2 schools of moral thought. The utilitarian perspective dictates that the most appropriate action is the one that achieves the greatest good for the greatest number. Meanwhile, the deontological perspective asserts that certain actions, like killing an innocent person, are just wrong, even if they have good consequences. In both versions of the trolley problem above, utilitarians say you should sacrifice 1 to save 5, while deontologists say you should not. Chidi follows Kant's philosophy of deontological ethics. Chidi is put in a real-life situation of the trolley problem. Michael forces Chidi to make a real-life decision to determine which philosophy he chooses in a real-life situation. At the end of Season 1, the characters find out that the good place is actually the bad place. Michael convinces Judge Jin that the afterlife justice system was broken, and Eleanor, Chidi, Tahani, and Jason are good people, and they deserve to be in the good place. The judge decides to wipe their minds and send all four of them back to Earth to give them a second chance at being good people. Each character was sent back to the moment they were about to die, and a change of events happened when Michael prevents them from dying. The original thought Michael had was this prevention would open their eyes and they would pursue an upstanding path. Like most situations, each changed their ways until it started to get hard or interfered with what they wanted. Michael encourages each of them to go to Australia where they will meet each other for the first time and hopefully help each other find the right way and become better people. Unfortunately, during this time, the point system is keeping track of the characters' points while on Earth, and they are not improving. You might question why these individuals ended up in the bad place in the first place. Eleanor was manipulative, selfish, and ungrateful. She continuously treated people like they were nothing to her. She intentionally would hurt others by words and actions. She had a job as a sales representative and would sell questionable medication. She was disgusting in every way possible. Chidi, hesitant to make a decision, tortured the people around him, and that led him to the bad place. From little to big decisions, Chidi would overthink and obsess over making the right decision. Tahani did many good things, such as raise money for many charities. The issue was she was doing it for the wrong reasons, like to outshine her little sister, and that is what caused her to end up in the bad place. Jason made bad choices. At one point, there was a scene where he was using utilitarianism in his favor. One of the dancers was going to leave the group, and he planted stolen goods in the dancer's girlfriend's house and then called the cops. To him, he justified that hurting one person to please 40 was the right choice. Doug Forsett is from Canada, and during the 1970s, Doug predicted 92% accuracy of what happens after you die. He became a legend in the good and the bad place. Michael and Janet seek out to find Doug. Once they discover where he is at, they notice that his ethical beliefs have led him to a life of solitude and sacrifice. Doug pleases everyone and will do whatever someone wants just to make them happy. He will not do anything that benefits himself in fear that he will go to the bad place. Oddly, Doug does not have enough points to make it to the good place, even though daily he is doing all he can to give and make others happy. Michael and Janet decide that something is not right with the point system. They plan to go to the real good place to take their concerns about the system.
Adopted dogs and wolves.
You've rescued every stray animal that's ever wandered onto your property?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I've been mauled several times. This little guy here might look innocent, but boy, he goes right for the squeaker, if you know what I mean. Oh, this is fun. You get to meet Raymond. Hi, Raymond.
Hi, dum-dum. Who are these two hosers?
Well, don't worry about Raymond. He's just a local sociopath who comes by my house to take advantage of me. I've got your laundry all folded ready for you.
For whatever reason, this loser does whatever you tell him to do. Watch. Hey, give that guy your shoe.
Would that make you happy?
Very happy.
Ugh.
Now give him your shoe.
Oh, that's okay, Doug. I don't need your shoe. Please don't give me your shoe.
Okay, well then give me your shoe, or I'll be sad.
Well, as long as he's happy. See, if I make him happy, I get the points. That's how the system works, remember?
Go get your shoe, idiot!
So when is enough enough? When do you make the decision that helping someone else is hurting you more? Is it ethical to not help them when you are suffering the consequences? How do we know what that line is and keep it balanced with right and wrong?
I have never met anyone so dedicated to making other people and snails happy. If what you're saying is true about the afterlife, then you must have earned more than enough points by now. So loosen up, bud. You know, have a little fun. Eat something besides lentils.
Like radishes?
No, Doug, damn it. Just have ice cream or chicken parm. Live your life. You know, travel. Drink regular water that wasn't inside you. Okay? Just relax.
Thank you, Michael. But no, I can't do any of those things.
Why not?
Because I can't risk it. There's an accountant out there somewhere measuring the value of everything I do. What if I relax and do something that loses me just enough points to keep me out of the good place, and I'm tortured for eternity? No, I have to make every moment count. It's the only rational way to live. Now,
In conclusion, The Good Place is a show with many ethical dilemmas and a fun way to learn about ethical theories. You have 4 characters who on Earth were claimed unethical. Each had a different background and just wanted the best for themselves. Their choices made them end up in the bad place, and in the bad place, they were tortured by social interaction with one another. Having the chance to become a better person, they help each other out to determine why the point system is broken. Each of them, including Michael, will become a better person.